for Monday, September 21st, 2020. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, wait a second. Let me show you this page instead. Dun, dun, dun. It's the Pro and Con Show. And I am your host, Michael James Ott. As always, thank you for watching the show. I guess I gave you a little sneak peek as to what we're talking about today. So the purpose of the show, just to take a few seconds here, encourage us to be better citizens. And that means we have to ferret out the truth. The truth is fairly complex. It doesn't fit in 4 words on a hat or a bumper sticker. It's more complex than that, okay? It takes hours and days to figure out the truth, the landscape of a particular issue. Whether it's budget deficits or abortion or gun violence or whatever, you pick your major issue that faces the nation, Middle East peace. There's always a lot of information that has to be, kind of sewn together before you really have a true baseline of what really is going on, okay? And you have to be open to realizing and accepting that some of that information you're not going to like, because that's the way the world is, boys and girls. Not everything is as you like. But it doesn't change the fact that it's true. I live here in Hudson, Wisconsin, and winter comes every year, and I don't like winter. But I could say it's not true, and I could go outside without a coat and stuff and freeze to death. But no, winter is true, okay? And so, even though I don't like it, I have to accept that it exists, and I have to deal with it appropriately, okay? So the Pro and Con Show, Pro and Con, good and bad, for and against, hence the Pro and Con Show, okay? Well, today's show is a coronavirus pandemic update. And so a good place to go is the CDC. Now, there's a lot of Center for Disease Control. My eye is itching, so I shall scratch it. Center for Disease Control. Now, there's a lot of people that say, well, they didn't do a very good job and stuff like that, but they definitely, have, you can count on them to have pretty darn good information, the best information in every single aspect, not necessarily, unfortunately, and that I think that stems from, unbelievably, there's a tremendous amount of political pressure on this organization to not put factual information in this website from time to time. But for the most part, they're doing a good job withstanding that pressure, pushing it away, and putting good information here. And I've talked about, and you've heard it on the radio. If you drive around, you've listened to it on the radio. You've heard it on public service broadcasts. You've heard it from countless people on the internet, from countless people on various channels and stuff, public service announcements and in programming. So there's 4 basic things that we can do right now, and if we do them, we can really pretty darn well handle this virus, even though we don't have a cure for it, and even though we don't have a virus or a vaccine to prevent it. Wear a mask. Yeah, wear a mask. And if you think you are symptomatic, or if you think you've been exposed to this, wear a mask even around your family. If you have any concerns, any doubt at all that you, or any feeling that you might be have been exposed recently to this virus, or might be a carrier and just asymptomatic or whatever, or having symptoms, wear a mask, even around your family, even in your homes if there are people around. Wear a mask, damn it. Wear a mask. 2, keep distance from other people. So even if you're sitting in your homes, try to mostly stay some feet apart. There's no problem socially being able to talk to somebody in your own living room, one person sitting on one end of the sofa, the other person sitting on the other end of the sofa, or in another chair in the living room or whatever. This is not difficult, okay? It's not, the simple and easy and sitting close to other people like we're used to, but it's not that bad, okay? Wearing a mask is not that bad. Staying apart is not that bad. Wash your hands, sanitize or wash your hands frequently, a lot more frequently than you used to, and especially a great thing is just be conscious of your emotions. And humans, up until now, we touch our face a lot, okay? And it was this kind of subconscious thing. You scratch your face or rub an eye or grab your nose or whatever. I mean, you touch your face all the time. Well, don't do that. Try to consciously catch yourself and say, okay, I'm not going to touch my face unless I've recently thoroughly washed my hands. Okay? Try to think, okay, and make a conscious effort to not touch your face and say to yourself, I got to stop doing that. I got to start washing my hands before I touch my face. Okay? And then the last thing is get tested. Okay? Again, if you think you've been in proximity to somebody, I had someone in my family, they had spent some time with some other family members, and some of those family members actually tested positive, and so they had been in with these family members for several hours. And so the right thing to do is, if you suspect that you've been exposed to the virus, get tested. If you have symptoms like a sore throat or pink eye or diarrhea, or there's a long list of symptoms, we'll go over them, but there's a long list of symptoms beyond like a fever. In fact, fever is not necessarily one of the most prominent symptoms, okay? So there's a lot of things that you could have, and if you have any of those symptoms, get a test, okay? Get a test, get it done. So wear a mask, stay apart, wash your hands, and get tested. Wear a mask, stay apart, wash your hands, get tested. Do those things. Do those things, and you and your family and your friends and your coworkers and everyone else, your neighbors, you're all going to be far better off. It's not a lot to ask, folks. I mean, admittedly, it is frustrating, and it is additional things to be concerned about and all those kinds of things, but it's not that much to ask. Relative to previous generations, the generation, for example, that went through World War II, World War I, World War II, where all kinds of materials and food and everything were all in short supply, and it was all being put toward the war effort, and you couldn't even buy a new car because all the manufacturing had been switched over to making tanks and bombers and all this other stuff. The sacrifices that we are making now to protect our neighbors and friends and ourselves are an order of magnitude less than other generations have had to suffer for other reasons, okay? So now to the CDC. So one of the things that they say right here at the top is wear a mask, and they show all different kinds of things. And there was a lot of articles about, well, is this mask more effective than that mask or whatever? It doesn't matter. Okay, wear a mask. And, some of the masks, yes, if you're a healthcare worker and you're going to be spending the afternoon in a wing of the hospital that's a quarantine area for COVID-19 victims, then yes, get yourself a N95 mask and shield and goggles, not goggles, but a face shield, and N95 mask and gloves and gown and all those kinds of things, and do everything you can to protect yourself and make sure that mask is a number one priority. You know, very high quality and fit extremely well to your face, because you are going in, you know, into the place where it's very likely that you could get this disease, and you don't want it, and you don't want to pass it on to others. But for the vast majority of us, if you can put on a mask, and Bill's mask is only half as effective as Jim's mask, doesn't matter. It's the fact that anybody is wearing a mask is going to significantly, in a huge way, in a big factor, reduce if you are carrying this virus and you're walking around and you know, breathing or talking, having some kind of barrier that you're breathing and talking through is going to greatly reduce by several factors, you know, whether it's a factor of 2 or a factor of 20. Any of that is fantastic as far as preventing other people around you from getting infected with this thing. So wear a mask. It doesn't matter how good it is, but make sure it covers the nose and the mouth. Okay? Wear a mask. So symptoms, let's just talk about. So this is all right on their front page here. So there is a list of, so if you have a fever, or even if you don't have a fever, but you have chills, interestingly enough, this happens. You have a cough. You have a shortness of breath or difficulty breathing compared to normal. You feel fatigued. Okay, so you're not just tired because you decided to run a marathon and now you're done running it and you're tired. You feel fatigued because maybe you just get up out of bed at first thing in the morning and you know, you just can barely move and stuff like that. If you have muscle or body aches, if you have a headache, okay, especially if it's a persistent headache. If you have a headache and you take an aspirin or acetaminophen or ibuprofen or something like that, and it goes away, it's probably not related. But if you have a headache and it's a persistent one, could be. This is really if you have a loss of taste or smell. So if you recognize that your taste and smell has changed in a considerable way recently, that's actually a very good indicator that you have this virus. It's a very unique thing for this. A sore throat, okay, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, okay, and then diarrhea. So it's interesting to me, one of the, I work in this facility, I work on the weekends. They had trouble finding people to work there, especially on the weekends. So I work there at the weekends, trying to be kind of a screener of people coming in. So kind of this lobby attendant person, again, in the age of coronavirus, a lot of the places you walk into now, there's an employee that's just making sure you're wearing a mask and asking you questions about your exposure and stuff like that. Well, that's me on the weekends, because this facility really was struggling to find anybody. So that's what I do. I work there on the weekends. And we did have a case. It's got to be coming up on 3 months ago, when one of the residents came down with the COVID-19 illness. And yeah, he had some chills and stuff like that, but his major symptom was diarrhea, actually. And this is, again, another very common thing. If you have diarrhea and it persists at all for, you know, more than a day or two kind of thing, that's actually a very strong indicator that you have COVID-19. But anyway, and then there's statistics in here, but I don't really want to go into all that. But the CDC, it's cdc.gov. So that's the website. Go there, okay, for really solid information anyway. Okay, solid information on this virus and the disease and the symptoms and the statistics. I'm not going to go into them because we're running out of time for today's show. Anyway, so that's an update for the Pro and Con show. My name is Michael James Ott, and until the next show, bye for now.